Can you guys talk about what it's been like this summer just to have him around the office as a intern?
It's actually been really cool.
It sucks, man. He's always like jumping into our meetings and stuff. He's always around, you know. He just comes sit down and he can't concentrate.
When he comes by me, he's looking at like sketches or rendering. So it's much different than when he goes talk to Ryan. It's been great. It's been cool.
Well, plus we're working on the next shoe.
Yeah.
So you know he's been involved in that process
Like day one.
even more so. You know, with these, you're like anybody in the industry knows, you're spending half of your time designing and convincing yourself that it's cool and that's what they're going to like, and then the other time you're on a flight up to their city to meet them in between practice, training table, you know, a massage, and then game time, and you're getting like 10 minutes, and you know you're trying to go through all of this stuff and all the details, and a lot of time it doesn't work. But when a guy's here on campus and you know day after day, I mean there were times when he'd come in and it wasn't very often, but like 8 o'clock in the morning, he's like, "Where is everybody?" Like, you know, he's like, "You just need to be working right now, like working on my stuff." So I mean, it was very cool to have him around. He was very like intimately involved in the next shoe, but even more so, you know, a guy like that, he's 22 years old, so he's still the consumer. You know, I mean, he's 2 years removed from what Foot Locker considers to be like their target consumer at 20 years old. So he gives you insights on everything. Man, the shorts are too short, the shorts are too long, they don't fit me this way, your t-shirts hang this way. I like, you know, and Brandon's very outspoken and he doesn't hold back. And, you know, there's times when he'll come in and that's what you want from an athlete. You don't want a guy to be like, "Oh yeah, it's kind of cool," you know, and then when he actually is wearing it on court, he's like, "Man, this thing sucks. I can't believe they made this for me."
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather get it out up front. If a guy, we're like, "Man, hey, listen, if it's whack, just tell us." You know, we'll stop, we'll design, we'll shift. But he was very, very cool. He was very involved. Yeah. And like, you can't get a better wear tester. Yeah. You know, when the wear test samples come out and the guys over at the Mello Center, you know, balling against Josh Selby, you know, that's as good a wear testing as you're going to get. There's no high school kid on the I-95 corridor that's going to be able to replicate the kind of forces that he's going to put on the shoes. So, you know, it poses a different challenge from a, hey man, we don't really want to release this that soon. You know, like they're taking pictures and their images are going on the web and information flies now, so it's all out there. But I think the trade-offs are that when he comes back from Dykeman and he explodes for 51, you know, given that he's a superstitious dude, you know, immediately like the shoe's like, "Oh man, I love it. It feels incredible," you know. And we're just like, man, I hope he drops about 80 in LA, which he did. He had 81. So I mean, like we were locked and loaded after that. Like the shoe, you could do no wrong after that. Like, you know, I think he had 51, 81, and then came back had 49. So, you know, at that point the shoe was good to go. Yeah, it was a good little run.
And are there like, I know the black guys had the signature. Like, there's a 3 on the heel. Are there signature call outs on this one?
On this one, we don't have any specific signature call outs because we really felt that all the graphics that we put on the strap really kind of gave a nod to that same thing. It was almost like with the black ice, you know, the signature was like, while we didn't call it, this is the Brandon Jennings signature model, or Jennings 1, it was like, this is like approved by Brandon. And so we really feel like this really incorporates kind of that same purpose.
I would say though that, you know, like even with details though, like, so the triple stitching has been something that has been pretty key. You know, that's the one thing that when we asked him about the number 3, you know, we were expecting to hear Allen Iverson, and we incorporated into the black ice, but he was like, "No, that's the Holy Trinity." And, you know, I was like, wow, it's kind of deep at the time. I was like a 19-year-old kid, you know, he was like a room full of grown-ups, you know, or his peers, and he busts out the Holy Trinity. And so, you know, and he said, and 3 is, it's always been me, my mom, and my brother. It's always been the 3 of us, and that's why we're number 3. So we kind of got this idea with, we don't have a lot of stitching on any of the shoes. In fact, the only stitching that you see on this shoe is the triple stitching that runs around and never stops. So it's always going. And I think it's something that, it's just a little call out. I don't think it's overt. It's something that Brandon knows about. I think it's a cool little story that's like a discovery item that someone sees. Maybe they say, "Hey, why does that have 3 stitches?" You know, I always thought it was cool when our competition did 2 stitches on one shoe and 3 on the other.
I always thought it was a little too much.
Little detail. You thought it was over the top, like over designed. Yeah. You know, that was a little designy thing I always thought was cool. But for us, it's the triple stitching that sort of ties in that theme for him. And then the sock liner really, you
Yeah.
know, is kind of a call out to his path where he's been, the number. You know, sometimes I think you can get a little overkill. There are other people that do the signature on the shoe, and you know, like Derrick Williams thought the shoe was cool, and so he's like, man, make some of those for me in Minnesota colors. I think he put a signature on it. Now all of a sudden it's like, you know, it's a little too close.
Yeah.
The idea was not to develop a signature line for Brandon. It was a line of product that was inspired by him.
Okay. So I was going to ask, is he going to be the only guy wearing it? Will other guys or other schools wear it?
So we're doing, we have the Supersonic and the Threat are the two shoes that launch around college and high school. So all of our team promo business, and then we did special colorways for every single one of our programs with the Bloodline. And for the colleges, the print, so we thought, well, you know what, like, how are we going to incorporate a pattern on the strap? The collar, the strap graphic on all of the college versions is the bracket from March Madness. And then, you know, every single color ties into them. We were pushing these guys on color. Like, if you ask most coaches in college what they want to wear, they'll tell you white with whatever their team color. So we tried to reverse that and go with louder color combinations. We took our top high school programs, you know, of the 33 that we have, I would say that, you know, probably 8 to 10 of them are really elite. And we did very, very unique colors for them, including graphics on the strap specific to their schools. You know, and then Derrick has also said, hey man, I like a low top. You know, he wore lows all last year when he was at Zona. He's actually a sneaker kid. He wore 18 different colorways of the Kobe last year when he was on court. So, you know, his thing to us was, man, like, I like being able to mix it up. Don't be afraid of throwing color on court. You know, make things funky. Like, I'll wear anything that you throw at me. So he wore the shoe in the dunk contest at the Elite 24. Loved how it fit, loved how it felt. And so he said, hey man, I love the fit, feel, like, make me a couple of colorways too. So, you know, college programs, high school, obviously Brandon, D. Will's going to have a version out there. So, you know, sometimes the low top's not for everybody, but I think everybody's been comfortable that the collar height it's high enough where it's still going to give you support. And the reality is, man, ankle braces and tape is what give you support. And if we got them locked down in the forefoot, then they're not going anywhere.
You talked about Derrick a bit there. Can you just talk about how adding Kemba, Derrick, and how that's going to help Brandon as you guys start to build out this brand?
Well, it doesn't put so much pressure on him to sell all the sneakers. I think that, you know, if anything else, it's a validation for him that he made the right decision, you know, 2.5, 3 years ago. I mean, he was like the lone wolf. And I think to have guys the caliber of a Kemba, guy won a national championship. I mean, he can really play. And D. Will, who exploded in the NC2A tournament and was putting up great numbers at Arizona, you know, these guys are they're big time picks in the NBA draft, and they chose us over a lot of other options. And I think for Brandon, it makes him probably feel like, oh, you know what? These guys are validating my decision. Like they're reinforcing that I made the right move. And I think it also shows that as a brand, you know, even though our volume's not equal to what some of the other guys are doing, you know, we're big on customer service with these guys. I mean, you know, the same kind of service that we give Brandon with the colorways and with the attention to detail and the specifics around the shoes, we're doing the same thing for Derrick. We do the same thing for Kemba. And we would basically do that for any athlete we have. The idea is that we're going for quality, not quantity. It doesn't do anybody any good to have 50 guys if you can't service them. And I think we'd like to keep it to a manageable number, but really make those guys look unique.